Watch this. You click a button and a box opens in the middle of the screen. The page behind it dims. Focus jumps inside. Hit escape, it closes. Not long ago, you'd commonly write JavaScript for all of it. Today, watch the code disappear. For years, the web platform had gaps. HTML gave you a checkbox, not a pop up, a link, not a menu. So we filled the gaps ourselves. Every modal, every dropdown, every little piece of interface behavior, we wrote it by hand in JavaScript. But the boundary between our code and the browser has been moving. Quietly, year after year, browsers have been turning the patterns we rebuild by hand into native web platform features. Some live in HTML, some live in CSS, and some live in browser API features. Which raises a simple question. Why are we still writing custom JavaScript for behavior the browser already understands? We'll start with one small modal and end with the browser animating between entire pages. Start with that modal. The box was never the hard part. It was everything around it. You had to stop keyboard focus from escaping behind it. Close it when someone pressed escape. Add a backdrop. Keep it above the rest of the interface. Sometimes manage page scrolling. Add the correct accessibility information. And when it closed, return focus to the button that opened it. That's a lot of responsibility for one little box. Now the native way. HTML has a real element for this. Dialog. Call show modal. And the browser places it above the page, makes the background non-interactive, moves focus inside, supports escape, and returns focus when it closes. That entire group of responsibilities shifts from our code to the browser. You still choose the best starting focus, give the dialog a clear, accessible name, provide a visible close button, and style it for your product. And clicking the backdrop to close, that's not the default. A newer close by option can enable it in supporting browsers, but a visible close button is still the safest choice. But notice, we still wrote one line of JavaScript just to open it. Can we drop even that? Now yes, it's called invoker commands. You put two attributes on the button, command set to show modal and command for, pointing at the dialog. No event listener, no script, just to connect one button to one dialog. It's wired together entirely in HTML. This became available across current major browsers in December 2025. Older versions may still need a fallback. It works on buttons today, and fully custom actions still need a little JavaScript. Next, pop-ups and floating panels, tooltips, dropdowns, little overlays. The old way here was rough. You might pull in a positioning library just to place the thing. Fight a z-index war to keep it on top. Then write your own code to close it when someone clicks away or presses escape. A small floating panel could mean a library and a pile of workarounds. The native version is almost too small to believe. Add the popover attribute to the panel, then point a button at it with popover target. The browser puts it in the top layer. Above the page, no z-index battle. Click outside, it closes. Press escape, it closes. The browser also updates the keyboard order and connects the panel to the button for assistive technology. What's still yours? Its position, its design, and the meaning of the content inside. Popover controls how a panel appears. It doesn't turn that panel into a complete accessible menu. A simpler one, expandable sections. HTML has handled a single open and close panel for years with details and summary. But now there's another piece. Give several details elements the same name and the browser turns them into an accordion. Open one and the previous one closes automatically. No state variable, no click listener, no code keeping them in sync. There's still a gap though. Smooth open and close animation isn't built in consistently. Native removes the behavior code. It doesn't solve every design need. One more, the big one. Page transitions, that smooth animation when one view morphs into the next. The kind that makes a site feel like an app. This used to mean coordinating two versions of the interface yourself, keeping the old view visible, updating the page, animating between them, cleaning up after. Libraries and routers could help, but the animation plumbing still belonged to your app. The browser can now handle the animation plumbing with the View Transitions API. You tell it the page is about to change. It captures the current view. Your JavaScript makes the actual update, the new state, the new content. Then the browser captures the new view and transitions between them. By default, that's a smooth crossfade for the whole page. Name individual elements and they animate separately. And you should still respect people who prefer reduced motion. Your JavaScript still changes the app. The browser now handles the difficult visual handover. Inside a single page, this works in every major browser today. And across full page loads, clicking from one page to the next. Here it gets nuanced. Two pages on the same origin can opt into a transition with one small CSS rule included on both pages. No router required. But it's not everywhere yet. It works in Chrome, Edge, and Safari. Firefox doesn't animate it yet. It just loads the next page the normal way. Nothing breaks. It quietly falls back to a plain navigation. So it's safe to ADD, just not safe to promise. So step back and look at how much responsibility has shifted. Modals, floating panels, expandable sections, page transitions, all of these once required code we wrote and maintained. Now, much of the standard behavior is handled by the browser. But our code hasn't disappeared. And that part matters. Because these native web platform features are not about to replace your framework. So, what still belongs to your application? The things that are actually unique to your app: complex state, deeply interactive interfaces, working offline, real time updates, custom interactions the browser has no concept of. The browser is great at the standard predictable behaviors, the ones every site rebuilds the same way. Your app's real complexity is still yours to write. And that's exactly the point. Let the browser handle the common stuff so you can spend your effort where your app is actually different. So, how do you use these features safely? First, don't assume every unsupported feature falls back on its own. Some do. A view transition can simply not happen while the normal page update still works. But others need a deliberate fallback. A command button may need a small JavaScript alternative for older browsers. A popover needs markup and styling that still makes sense when the feature is missing. So start with an interface that works. Then add the native behavior on top. Check baseline. Test the browsers your users actually have and use feature detection where the interaction really matters. And that's the real story here, bigger than any single feature. The browser keeps quietly absorbing the patterns we all rebuild. Expandable sections became native. Pop-ups became native. Even page transition plumbing is moving into the browser. Every year, a little more of what we used to handwrite just becomes something the platform does. The line keeps moving. So before you add your next event listener, ask one question. Is this behavior unique to my app? Or does the browser already know how to do it? JavaScript isn't disappearing. The line is simply moving. Follow along, and we'll keep following it.